300上就抽了特别大堂经典300是为诸法天下无边无际的有情众生所得无上长生的圆满果果，请大家发广大殊胜的菩提心，以及方便广大于众生动机，并且入理如法的聆听。
Please listen to the teaching, cultivating the two aspects of supreme motivation, the vast intention of the Madhyamaka Series, and the vast method of the secret mantra of Madhyamaka, so as able to lead all sentient beings as limitless as space to the state of the unsurpassed Buddhism.
那我们今天呢就继续讲出现心愿品。那出现心愿品里面呢，我们基本上的话，里面的愿文的部分可能都基本上讲完了。现在今天呢开始讲的是它的功德的部分。
So today we continue on the teaching on the King of Noble Prayer. So what we have covered in terms of the prayer, we have covered all the aspiration part, and now today we're beginning on the benefit of this prayer.
在我们的日诵课本里面的话，在57页的第2行开始。不是，是不是？不是第2行，61页。哦，对，在61页。在61页的第2行啊。是不是让你看一下这经典的这样往来看？这里呢就今天我们开始讲普贤行愿品的这个功德。那这里的中文里面呢说，十方所有无边刹庄严众宝供养供如来最胜安乐施天人，今一切刹为成绩，若人于此胜愿王求胜菩提心即应以金玉而能生信。能生信的这个中文的部分可能比较难对得上，前面这一句是跟上一样，后面这一句有一点点不一样，但是不管怎么样，你们可以看英文的部分中文的部分不是很确定。
So we begin on the page 61 of our daily recitation textbook. It is begin on the second line. It says the benefit of making aspirations in general. Having heard this greatest dedication prayer, whoever intensely desires supreme enlightenment and develops faith even just once, will gain greater merit in offering all the realms of intervention, beautified with jewels to the victorious Buddha, or offering them to all supreme joys of God and men for as many eons as there are atoms in those lands. So, in terms of the Chinese translation, maybe a little bit not as corresponding as the English. So the English part does match the Tibetan version.
那这里主要讲的功德是，首先呢就是总体的简略的讲了一下功德，然后呢之后呢是比较细节的讲。那这里就简单的或者简略的讲的时候呢，就十方所有无边刹。那我们所谓的十方就是四面八方天地十方十方就包括了所有的地方，再没有更广的就是方向，十方就包括了所有的方向在这个所有的方向里面所存在的刹土所有的也就包括了所有的刹土了，再没有更其他的刹土了，十方所有的这个刹土 然后呢，在这些萨图里面呢，所有十方刹庄严众宝供如来。然后呢，我们以堆满，意思就是说十方所有的刹图里面堆满或是装满最庄严的这个就是珍宝最庄严的这个贡品拿来供如来，就是供养十方的诸佛。它这里是有2个字，十方这里讲它有2个，一个就是十方所有的刹土里面所有庄严的东西，可以供养的一切东西的意思。然后呢，供养的对境也是不是一方的，是十方的诸佛供养所有十方的诸佛这样意思，供养十方的诸佛。除此之外呢，就是天界的所有一切最胜的东西，就是最殊胜的贡品财物然后呢，就是人间的所有的最殊胜的就是财物这些所有的可以供养的这些一切东西然后呢，就我们拿来比如说我们天界的所有的可以供养的这个贡品，人间的所有的贡品，十方世界的所有的珍宝，这些所有的贡品积集在一起来供养十方的诸佛十方的诸佛在供养十方的诸佛也是不只是供一次，而是供几个节就是这么长的时间来供养这些诸佛。那他的功德有多大？我们可以想一想，他的功德我们一般的人是不可思议，我们没办法想象有那么大的功德。但是呢，那这个功德跟我们念诵普贤行愿品的功德有什么样的差别呢？他这里说，若人欲此圣愿王，求圣菩提心即样，依经于而能生信。意思就是说，如果是一个人对这个普贤行愿品升起极大的强烈的信心然后呢，按照这里面的愿文一心发愿，将来我也要这样发愿，我一定要这样做，心里一心这样想，然后呢念诵这个普贤行愿品的话，刚刚那个供养的功德大，不是念诵1遍普贤行愿品的功德大。他这里说念诵1遍普贤行愿品的功德大，你可以想一想，我们念诵这个普贤行愿品的功德有多大。
So here it really talking about the benefit or the quality of this prayer. So we first talk about the overall general benefit first, and then we go into the details. And it says that in the offering all the realms of the 10 directions. When we talk about 10 directions, it really encompasses the entire, all the lands of all the space, all the places. There's no place that's included. So thereby it says that to all the realms of 10 directions. So it means that all the Pure Land, if you were to fill all the Pure Lands of the 10 directions, and it says beautified with jewels, and then you fill the Pure Lands with all the most solemn and most beautiful jewels, and you take them to offer to the Buddha. And here, regarding the 10 directions, it means 2 things. It means that the first offerings themselves, that it means that all that can be offered within the 10 directions are offered. And also the second thing is the subject offering. And then the subject being offering is all the Buddhas of 10 directions. So not only these offerings, but also the price offering from the heavenly, as well as the human realms, and also everything that can be offered, thereby including the heavenly and the human realm, as well as the offering from 10 directions. If we were to gather all these offerings together, and then to offer to the Buddhas of 10 directions, then not just once, but offered for many, many eons, you can see how much merit this is to accumulate. You can see how really the merit is really inconceivable for us to think. So this is not a really this is really an immense inconceivable merit. And so thereby, what is the compare with to the merit of someone who recites the prayer, who recites this prayer? Here it says that to develop faith even just once will gain greater merit. So here it means that whoever develops really strong faith and then aspire to in a complete accordance to this prayer, to think that I will also aspire to do this in the future, and to recite in that way, then you compare it in terms of the merit of reciting and the merit that we just talked about of all the offering from the same direction, etc. It is reciting this prayer in that manner that will allow you to accumulate more merit. So really, you can see how much merit it is, how immense and inconceivable the merit is of this prayer.
哦呀，我们在前几堂课里面讲了以上的那些愿文，从资粮道的菩萨到加行道的菩萨，然后从一地到十地菩萨之间的所有的愿文都在这个里面。所以这里面讲的是什么呢？这里面讲的就是以上讲的这些一切愿文，对这些发的这个愿一一的就是升起强烈的信心就是愿我也能够真正的做到这样的一个决心，然后呢升起信心的念诵一遍普贤行愿品的功德就这么大这是不可思议的。我们一般人是没有办法做到这个功德你可以想一想，一个人怎么做得到把十方这个佛的刹土里面的所有的这个珍宝，然后加起来天人所有的这个珍宝加起来来供十方的诸佛，然后就几个节的这样去供养，谁做得到？没有办法做得到的这个功德。但是我们可以用另外一个方式，可以做到比它更大的功德，就是对普贤行愿品这个升起强烈的信心，然后念诵一遍你就可以做到那么大的功德，这个是多么不可思议的一个事情。所以以前我常常跟大家讲，我们来到这个中心，就是上一堂课，你就是即便是没有听懂任何课程的意义，没有学到什么东西，但是跟大家升起信心的念一遍普贤行愿品，你来一趟这个中心也就非常值得了。大家共修一遍。因为我们在这里共修一遍，不但是你自己在修，而且是我们这个普贤行愿品，这个是帮瑞宝自从1988年在五台山的时候积累，在五台山带领1万人藏人在那里修了100天的普贤行愿品。我们这个功德是连续的都是连续在一起的，这是不可思议的如果是有一个神通的人，或者达到一地菩萨的人的话，可以看到我们所念的这个普贤行愿品这样的功德，将来你会得到什么样的成就，这些都看得到。但是我们虽然看不到，但是这些功德是一定存在的，所以这是不可思议的为什么我们在每一堂课的时候必须要坚持念诵这个普贤行愿品，然后我们做任何的这个修行的时候要坚持念这个，是因为它的功德太大了，我们不可忽略这个功德。我们可以在简短的时间里面积累这么大的功德，我们干嘛不做？这是一个。另外一个也是瑞宝在学院的时候常常强调说，我们任何时候我们发愿就是要念普贤行愿品。我们做到任何一个地方去朝圣也好，做什么的时候，什么其他都不念没有关系，普贤行愿品一定念一遍你在朝圣的时候，到圣地的时候念一遍普贤行愿品你如果是遇到去见什么寺庙什么很殊胜的佛像面前，你就念一遍普贤行愿品就足够了就是其他你什么不做都没有关系就是这样，这是非常殊胜
In the previous class sessions, in terms we have learned on all the aspiration of this kingdom double prayer, starting from the path of accumulation to the path of enhancement, and as well to the all the way to the 10 bhumis of Bodhisattva level. These aspirations we have all learned through this kingdom double prayer. So thereby able to have a really strong devotion and faith toward these aspiration and has determination, thinking that I may I also accomplish these aspirations in the future, these goals in the future, and thereby with such determination and aspiration and to recite the prayer is just once, the merit is really something truly inconceivable, and it's not something that will be achievable by any ordinary human being. You can see how is it even possible for an ordinary person to gather all the offering from the 10 directions, such as the human, including the human and God realms, and to offer down to the Buddha, all the Buddhas, in 10 directions for many eons. That is something not really achievable by any ordinary person. But here we can do something that even allows for us to accumulate even more merits in that, and that is by reciting this prayer with this immense and genuine devotion. So thereby I often always say that when you come here to engage in listening in a class or a practice, even if you don't understand the topic of the class or the content at all, you will still get the but if you are able to develop devotion and by reciting the Kingdom Noble prayer, then that benefit for you is truly inconceivable. And also this, in addition, this practice, the Kingdom Noble prayer, has been passed down through by His Holiness Jimmy Rinpoche as a regular practice since his pilgrimage in 1988, where he took among 10,000 followers and practiced for over 100 days. And so the merit to accumulate from that is really something truly inconceivable. And this is something that can be understood for those who have some certain level of clairvoyant power, or someone who has attained the first ruling bodhisattva. Then they will be able to really understand what kind of accomplishment you will be able to obtain through reciting this prayer. Although this is something that we cannot see for now, right now, but this is something definitely accomplishment that we will receive in the future. And so thereby, this is also the reason I always have remained firm on always reciting this this prayer, whether it's whenever we have class or any other practice, because it really allows you to accumulate this inconceivable amount of merit in really short amount of time. And also, this is a tradition which has been passed down by His Holiness, the teaching that he has been given as well. So thereby, anytime when you decide to take pilgrimage to sacred places such as holy sites, or like to visit some sacred statues and etc., you don't really need to do anything else but to really recite this prayer wholeheartedly, and that will really allow you to gain benefit.
然后我们以上的愿文里面讲就是佛啦，那个一地菩萨以上的这些愿力，那里面的很多的愿力是不可思议的，我们可以说是我可能没有办法做得到，就是可能想象不到这些愿力，但是这里面所说的你的决心是希望我能够做到有这样的愿力就可以了，并不是说你现在就要做到那样的，因为佛菩萨里面那个菩萨的这些行为是我们在每天念诵的这个里面是菩萨的戒的仪轨里面就讲了嘛，人八人的他的戒，我们每天在念诵，什么意思呢？那一句的意思是什么呢？意思就是说一步一步的来学，一步一步的学习菩萨的行为，而不是说你现在变成佛教徒，然后你受了菩萨戒，你马上就要就是行持所有菩萨的行为，不是的，因为这个是任何一个人都做不到的。一步一步的来，什么叫做一步一步的来呢？我们比如说作为一个布施来讲就是布施，菩萨是可以布施自己的身体的，我们现在布施身体不可能嘛，所以我们没办法马上做得到。那我们布施什么呢？我们先布施我们可以布施的东西，我们能够布施的东西，然后一步一步的，当真正的达到了一地菩萨以上，你真的是，如果是有人像要你的这个眼睛，或是要你的这个五官的任何一个东西，或者要你布施他的身体，你都完全没有任何的执着的可以布施的，是做得到的所以呢，就是我们所说的菩萨的行为有时候我们看到是非常的不可思议就不要退转信心，这个时候我们是慢慢一步一步的来的时候做不到所以呢，当我们在念诵普贤行愿品的时候，也是这里面有很多的愿力是不可思议的，但是这些 不要对这个不可思议的这些愿力升起就是说这个怎么说退转的心，一定要说我一定有一天我一定能够做到，我一定要去做就是要这样一个决心来念诵这个普贤行愿。
So so in this prayer, there's included many of the aspirations of the Bodhisattva, such as the Bodhisattva from the first bhumi and above. And these aspirations are really truly inconceivable. That you may think that, oh, this is something that I don't think I'll ever able to achieve. But here, this determination referring to that you aspire, you're determined to aspire that you will able to accomplish this in the future. It's not saying that you require you to do this, be able to fulfill this in the right now, this present moment. Because the actions of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, as we have learned in the as well now, is really something truly inconceivable at times, and many times. As it is said in our daily recitation text, in terms of the Bodhisattva, we seems to really learn the Bodhisattvas, the way of the Bodhisattva, step by step, and it's really following one step by another. It does not mean that once you have taken the Bodhisattva vow, you are able to engage on all the Bodhisattva actions right away, but to really be able to take step by step. And what does it mean by step by step? Therefore, for example, in terms of a generosity, Bodhisattvas can give away their bodies if someone wants it. But then that's something that we cannot achieve right now at this moment. So thereby, we start by beginning giving something we can, by giving away something that we can give away. And as we continue to practice, once we have reached the first bhumi of Bodhisattva, then if somebody wants your eye or your body, you will be able to give those away without any hesitation or attachment. So here we can see that these aspirations by the Bodhisattvas are sometimes truly, many times, inconceivable. But then don't lose faith on that, but really develop the faith, that determination that this is something that we are able to do in the future, that we aspire, that we are strongly determined to aspire to accomplish in the future. And then by having that determination and to recite this prayer will allow you to obtain this vast amount, this inconceivable merit.
然后接下来呢，就是细分功德，就是这个功德细节的，这里讲一共分开的有9种功德，就是分开讲的。根本中就我们的代别子，诵持普贤大愿望，永立一切诸恶道永立一切不恶道，就是任何一个人呢就具有信心的，然后呢念诵这个普贤行愿品的话，他永远都会离开诸恶道。所谓的恶道就是地狱、恶鬼、旁生道念诵这个普贤行愿品的功德，只是念诵这个普贤行愿品这个功德，他们就可以永远不会投身到三恶道去。这功德有多大？这是第一个。第二个呢是极常远离恶之事，应该就是恶道恶友，应该是恶友的。这里呢就是念诵普贤行愿品的人的话，他就算是没有成佛或是没有成就，他在生生世世的过程当中，他不会遇到恶友就是对这个什么叫做恶友呢？恶友的话就是对这个诽谤佛的诽谤法的然后呢就是这个对这个行恶很拥挤的就是常常行恶的这样的人他不会遇到这样的朋友所以在生生世世就是要不然就算是投生到人，他也遇到就是善知识遇到善友然后呢或者是会往生到西方极乐世界，那这个时候呢当然旁边的朋友都是菩萨了，然后或者是投生到其他的不一样的刹土周围的道友都是有持名勇士勇武等等这样，所以生生世世不会遇到恶友这是第二个功德。然后呢，但是速见如来无量光 如果是一生当中就是修这个普贤行愿品，然后升起起强烈的信心的话，有可能你今生就可以真正的亲见到无量光佛，也就是阿弥陀佛亲见阿弥陀佛。这是这个我们所说的还没有往生之前就可以亲见阿弥陀佛比如说有些修行者他在修本尊的时候，有时候他修到本尊跟他之间好像人与人之间对话一样的可以修成这样的一样的，这里也是一样的，就是今生可以就是真正的亲见到这个阿弥陀佛这是第3个功德。
我说有13个
，13个
是说9个。
对13个，我下面一共是23个，对，好，13个，对。
So here the second, now we'll be going to the benefits in detail, the detailed benefits. So here, so there's actually 13 benefits. So here it says that whoever makes the aspiration of the deeds of excellence will never again endure hellish rebirth. That is the first one. So here, just by reciting this prayer with genuine devotion, you will never take rebirth in the lower realms. The lower realms being the hell realm, the predator realm, as well as the animal realm. So that is the first one. And then here the second one is abandon all evil friends. The second, that even if you don't attain Buddhahood in this lifetime, in the future life you will not encounter any evil friends. Or the evil friends here pertain to those who have strong wrong view or disparage against the Buddha, the Dharma, as well as constantly engage in these harmful negative actions. So it means that you're able to, if you were to take human rebirth, you will be encountering all the genuine spiritual friend or guru or the positive friends, etc. If you take rebirth in the Pure Land, then for example, Deva Chen, you'll be able to surrounded by Buddhas and Bodhisattva, or other types of Pure Land, you'll be surrounded by the Dakinis. So, and then the third benefit is to behold the Buddha of Dhamma's light Amitabha. The third benefit is that you're able to encounter the Buddha Amitabha in person. This means that sometimes that if you're able to engage in reciting this prayer or practice this prayer with strong devotion, you will able to have a chance to able to see the Buddha of Dhamma's light in person. This is meaning that before you have someone or you have passed away, before you have become deceased. This is pertaining before that. So, for example, some practitioners, when they are able to engage in the practice Idam, it's almost the same that able to having the direct conversation with the Idam as a one person to another. So this is just like the same. You're able to, just seeing the Buddha Amitabha just like in that manner.
下面一个功德就是在中文里面我没有找到总之这一句跌到泥巴的你得人凑这个意思呢就是可以泥巴跌到泥巴的话，这里就是可以获得的意思。获得什么呢？就是获得的所有获得就是祥南的人生。它的意思就最胜获，最殊胜的获得是什么呢？就是可以得到这个7种上种7德。他说是上种7德。什么叫做上种7德呢？上种的话就是说我们在六道里面的上的两个种就是人天，就是上种两个上种性。7德就是人天的7种功德可以得到这个上种7德这样。上种的7德是什么呢？第一个功德是什么呢？就是脆弱了。如果你投生到人的话，就是长寿。然后就是第二个呢，就是难没白，就是没有病痛。第三个呢，就是肉种如果是男生的话，长得很帅；女生的话，长得很漂亮。肉种就五官很正常的，很端正的。第四个呢，就是幸运。然后呢，就是第5个呢，就是种性，就是忧伤的种性。不都是忧伤的种性。 第六个呢，就是很有财富的人，就是富有的人家人。第七个呢，就是非常有智慧的有智慧，这个就是我们所说的上种七德就是人天大的上种就是人天福报七德的这个七个功德也就是可以得到这个七种功德。
And then the next one is they will gain all the endowments. The endowments is not in Chinese translation, but in terms of endowments, it means the most prized or the best qualities you're able to obtain in terms of the 6 realms. So here it pertains that to be able to, the first is the ability to take rebirth in the human or the godly realm. That's the highest in terms of the 6 realms. So that's one type of endowment. And then in terms of so it's able to take a human rebirth. That's what it means. And then the 7 qualities. The 7 qualities of in terms of the human rebirth is that you're able to gain long life and no illness, good looking in terms of man or woman. 4, being very fortunate. The 5th is that able to take rebirth in the good caste class, in the caste system, having able to higher caste. And 6, being wealthy, and then 7, having wisdom in your life. So these are the qualities or endowments that you're able to receive as one of the benefits.
然后接下来的一个功德就是Madhyamaka Series到了不同，就是此人善的圣寿命，我不知道这可能好像不是很对的。总之这里讲的这一句的功德是什么呢？这一句的功德就是念诵这个普贤行愿品的人的话，以上我们所讲的这些功德，有可能今生他就会得到这以上的所有的功德的意思。所以这也是一种功德上面我们讲述了很多这个念诵普贤行愿品的这些功德这些就说能够今生如果真的有信心具有强烈信心的人的话，也许今生他就可以得到这以上的所有的这些功德。
Okay, so and the next one it says to live in happiness. 他就说就是快乐的活着，是这个意思。是说就按照你说的。
好像不完全是这样。对。
So we'll just go by the Guru's teaching. It pertains that the next one is that in terms of all the qualities we just mentioned, that this quality means that you're able to, if possible, it's possible that you're able to obtain all these qualities within this life. That is something. This is also one type of quality. That you're able to gain all these things within this life.
当然这里说 living happiness 这是一定的，它也是一个其中一个功德，但是上面的那些功德，它也可能今生就能够得到。
So in addition to the endowments and all these qualities we mentioned earlier, of course here it says living happiness. You are also able to live in happiness as well.
然后下一个就是如必普贤菩萨行，现前成就大慈愿。这个意思是什么呢？意思就是说念诵这个普贤行愿品就是修这个普贤行愿品的人的话，他在很快的就可以成就像普贤菩萨那样的果位就可以达到普贤菩萨那样的果位，然后呢就是能够这个利他利一切众生，利己自己这样。
So the next one is says obtain precious human rebirth. That I think that's also included in the previous qualities. So then the next one is that you'll soon become like someone the Vajra himself. So here for those who really have a genuine practice, the reciting, engage in the practice, reciting Kim Noble Prayer, they will soon able to become just like someone the Vajra himself, that they're able to benefit ourselves as well as others.
然后下一个功德是第7个的，应该是所造极恶无五间，往昔有无智慧力，读诵受持及演说，灭除烦恼无尽语，这个功能是可以的。这个的意思是什么呢？意思就是说， 如果一个人他在无知的、不懂得什么是无五间的情况下，他如果是造了无五间罪的话，那所谓的无五间罪是我们所谓的在这个大乘里面，我们定罪的时候，不是定罪，所谓的罪里面最严重的一个罪过就是无五间罪，就是最严重的一个罪就是这个显宗里面无五间罪这样。无五间罪造了这个无五间罪的人，他是没有中阴的这个阶段，断气以后就马上就下地狱，所以就无五间罪，就中间根本没有这个解脱了，没有这个其他的机会所以是非常严重的罪，在显宗里面是非常严重的一个罪过虽然是这么严重的罪过，但是呢，如果这个人他就是对这个普贤行愿品产生信心，然后一心一意的念诵普贤行愿品的话，连无五间罪这么严重的罪过都可以清除掉，可以清净掉所以这个有多殊胜我们就从这里可以看到，这些功德不是一个世间上的一个随便的人讲的，也不是一个传说，这是在白纸黑字的这个佛菩萨们他们写下来的传递到今天的，所以这是我们完完全全可以相信的，可以信任的所以呢，这个功德是很大的。我们如果想要忏悔，念一念普贤行愿品可以积累资粮功德，念普贤行愿品可以就是任何就是比如说有人往生的时候，你如果是有念普贤行愿品，当然是最好的，也是很殊胜的这样。
And the next one, even those who in ignorance, who have committed the 5 unredeemable deeds, will soon be completely purified if they recite this prayer of the deeds of the excellent. So here it means that if someone who is in ignorance, they may not understand what the 5 unredeemable deeds or 5 heinous crimes are. These 5 faults or these 5 crimes are the most severe faults in the terms of the Mahayana, the Sutra tradition. So because for anyone who committed in any of these 5 unredeemable deeds, there's really no bardo for this type of person. After this life ends, they will go take rebirth straight to rebirth in the hell realm. So this is a really severe negative fault or crime in terms of, as in the Mahayana Sutra tradition. So, but however, if you're able to recite this Kingdom Noble prayer with genuine devotion, even with such severe faults, severe crime can be completely purified. And so again, these qualities, these benefits are not just taught by a random person. It wasn't just claimed by any random person, but random person in the world. But it was written down in words, in like actual words by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So this will really have a lot of immense, profound qualities and immense merit. So if you wish to do confession, you can recite the Kingdom Noble prayer. If you want to accumulate merits, you can recite the Kingdom Noble prayer. And also, if you wish to practice for someone who had just passed away, reciting Kingdom Noble prayer is also very good too.
现在我们有些就是人有一个常常会问的，佛经上虽然说了有那么样的功德，但是有人说没有那样的功德有这样的疑问，这是非常就是一个错误的一个概念。我们不能够一个一般的人讲的话来质疑佛的语言，这个是完全颠倒的，这是错误的。我们可以以佛的真实语来质疑一般人讲的话，但是我们千万不能用一般人讲的话来质疑佛的语言这是颠倒的佛是真实语，所以永远不会有这个错误的一般人讲的话才是会有错误。佛讲的话，佛讲的是有智慧这样正悟这样讲出来，一般的人是烦恼分别念而讲出来的话，这是完全没有办法来比的所以我们这个方面一定要谨慎，一定要小心。现在的信息很多，有时候以一般人的语言来质疑佛的这些语言，这个真的是非常不好的。所以从这方面呢，我们 第一个只要是佛讲的，我们就是以这个为主，而不是说一般人讲的语言来质疑佛的语言这样。
Nowadays, we often came across certain sayings that, although the sutra said said there's certain benefit, but I heard someone else say there isn't. This is actually something a very wrong understanding. That it's really a wrong view, because we cannot use the words of ordinary people to question the words of the Buddha. We can use the words or teaching of Buddha to question ordinary people, but not the other way around. Because all the words of the Buddhas are the truth. That is the genuine truth. It's coming from the wisdom of the Buddha. What ordinary people say comes from their own mental afflictions, or So this is something that we really need to be aware of, because nowadays there's so many informations that there may be people trying to question the words of the Buddha in their ordinary mind, and that's really something not right. So thereby we really need to focus on the words of the Buddha, not what ordinary people say.
然后就是第8个功德，第8跟9都在这个一行里面，就是相好智慧，汉圆满，贤圆满啊。然后就这个是2个功德，一个就是相好，相好是什么呢？相好就是我们所说的佛的功德就说这个忏悔佛是32相，然后80随好佛的就是色相的这个色身的这个功德，相圆满就是好相的话就是这个功德。智慧的话是讲的这个如所有智或尽所有智就是2种智慧这里讲的这2个，所以就是8跟9这2个的功德。所以念诵或是修普贤行愿品的话，最终会得到这些功德的意思。
And the 8th and 9th benefit, these two are included, that they will be endowed with a perfect wisdom, beautiful form, excellent sight, a noble birth, and radiant countenance. So here it means that able to endow with the signs, the beautiful excellent signs. This pertains to the signs of the Buddha. As we know, there's 32 major and 80 minor marks of sign of the manifestation of the Buddha. And also the wisdom includes the wisdom all-knowing and the wisdom that all encompasses. So thereby, by reciting this prayer, you are ultimately able to gain these qualities.
然后第10个就是日动卡动南当当本就种性种类及容色这里主要就是讲，比如说像以前在印度的话，它种性的高低是差别非常非常大的。有些就是种姓比较低的层次的话，他们就是只能去一生的过程当中当这个仆人等等这样的，只有这样。所以在很多地方也有这样的。所以如果是念诵普贤行愿品的人不管投身到哪里，他都是高等的，就是种姓的长了容色非常的优美的、美丽的等等他要去这样的功德。
So here, and also including the beautiful form and noble birth. In terms of noble birth, it means pertains to the caste system in the ancient India. At that time, the caste system is something that's widely differentiated among different classes. Those with the lower caste or lower birth, not noble, they might just be servants for the rest of their entire life. So by reciting this noble prayer, you're able to take rebirth in terms of noble birth, and also be endowed with the beautiful forms.
然后11诸魔外道不能摧，意思就是说念诵普贤行愿品的话那这个我们所说的魔障说外道都没有办法就是伤害到你你常常念诵普贤行愿品的人魔外道都不能怕。我们所说的就是驱魔啦，然后我们就是说除障这些都是念诵普贤行愿品就可以了。
And here the next one, profane endeavors being will not harm them. And so that what that means that sometimes the kind of the demonic force or the those that's the trikas or those that's not the Buddhist faith that were to if they were to harm us, then we will not be harmed by if we frequently recite this prayer that these obstacles. So thereby, whenever we try to overcome certain obstacles with demonic power, we can always recite the Kingdom Noble prayers.
然后第12个就是堪为三界所应供，即更深刻可能求本就是同样。如果是修普贤行愿品的，然后就是这个一个修行者的话，他可以具为三界的供养的对境就是三界的话，我们说的地上、地下、上天就是三界的有情，它可以作为三界有情的供养对境。因为它的功德太大了，所以它可以作为三界有情的供养的对境。
The next one is they will be honored in the three realms. So it means that for someone who engage in the practice in reciting the noble prayer, they'll be honored as the subject offering in the three realms. That the three realms, the beings of the three realms can make offering to that to him because of this white, this inconceivable merit due to the aspiration of this prayer.
然后第13个就说树指菩提大树下，此人善来人生中，成等正觉转法轮，作业降伏诸魔众。诸魔众，对，就是这思。那念诵这个普贤行愿品的人的话，在不久的将来呢，会在菩提大树下就是成佛在菩提大树下成佛成佛以后呢，会在转法轮的意思这样作以降伏诸魔众，就像我们所谓的我们释迦牟尼佛成佛的时候，在菩提大树下，他安定在这个悲悯的等持当中降服一切诸魔。那些魔众呢，他们也就是各种各样的就是武器想要来伤害佛陀的时候呢，佛陀就是安住在慈悯我们说的悲悯的悯的慈悲的慈悯等持的这个禅定里面的，然后就是降服这些一切外魔障这样。
悲悯跟慈
有点不一样，这是慈悲的慈，悲跟慈有点不一样。
And then the next one is by reciting the Kingdom Noble prayer, they will quickly reach the Bodhi tree and sit there to benefit all beings, attain enlightenment, turn the wheel of Dharma, attain Mara with all his forces. So by reciting this Kingdom Noble prayer, the one practitioner in the near future will be able to attain Buddhahood under the Bodhi tree and turn Dharma wheels, and also able to attain Mara with all his forces. This is just like the Buddha Shakyamuni when he retained the enlightenment Buddhahood. And at that time, under the Bodhi tree, he remained in the samadhi of compassion, luminosity at that time, and he was able to tame or subdue all these Mara's forces. And when the Maras tried to use all kinds of weapons to hurt him, he remained in the samadhi of the samadhi of Vidyadhara. So able to remain in that with that samadhi power to overcome these negative forces.
所以呢，念诵普贤行愿品也可以帮助遣除我们一切障碍，也可以帮助我们遣除违缘，也可以帮助我们遣除这个证悟菩提之道菩提之间的一切障碍也可以帮助我们长寿，也可以帮助我们这个就是世间的一切圆满所以呢，我们常常念诵普贤行愿品，它的功德是相当的大。
So by reciting this Kingdom Noble prayer, it's really to allow us to able to eliminate all the obstacles that preventing us from attaining Buddhahood on the path, that allows us to gain long life, and also as well as many of the accomplishments in our ordinary lives. So this prayer has truly has many inconceivable merit as well as benefits.
那接下来呢，就是把这个普贤行愿品的功德，就是总结的讲一下这个普贤行愿品的这个功德。这里说，若人于此普贤愿，具此普贤最胜愿，最胜愿，果报为佛能正知。所以这里说，如果是一个人念诵这个普贤行愿品的这个功德，比如说一个人他念诵普贤行愿品，或是拥有这个普贤行愿品的这个法本，称当呢顿等好难。他说称的话，就是你就是持有这个法本，或者是呢你就是跟别人讲这个普贤行愿品的功德，或者自己常常念诵这个普贤行愿品的这个功德，这些功德都是果报为佛能正知，唯一佛才可以把普贤行愿品的这个功德，所有的功德讲得完，连菩萨都讲不完，这个讲不清楚这个普贤行愿品的这个功德。唯一的就是这里说果报为佛能正知，佛才真正的完完全全100%的知道这个普贤行愿品的所有的功德，这样，所以这真不可思议的
And now is to summarize the benefit of this prayer. It says that whoever preserves, teaches, or recites this aspiration of the deeds of the excellent shall ultimately attain perfect Buddhahood, may not despair of complete enlightenment. So here it says that if a person who recites this prayer or has a Dharma text, a copy of this prayer, or whoever gives teaching on this prayer, or to basically always recite this prayer, constantly recite the prayer, the complete benefit will only be known to the Buddha. So it means that only Buddha is able to able to understand and say all the benefits of this prayer, not even bodhisattvas. So it means that only Buddha will have a complete 100% understanding of the benefits of this king of noble prayers.
然后下面一句我那个中文的部分也没有找到，详细说了说你嘛是这个英文是怎么说 ？Mean none despair of complete enlightenment， 是不是？这个的意思是什么呢？这个意思就是相持的意思就是菩提的意思。我们要证悟菩提，修的话就是殊胜的意思。证悟最殊胜的这个菩提的这个修法就是普贤行愿品。请你们对这个普贤行愿品的这个功德，或者对普贤行愿品不要产生任何的疑惑的意思。说密码是这个不要产生怀疑就对这个功德一定要有信心，不要产生怀疑的意思。好像英文里面也没有这样的意思Despair 是什么意思？Despair 是什么意思？
好像就是遗忘掉，或者说没有绝望掉。
其实真正来说应该是不要生怀疑的意思。
不要生怀疑。
不要生怀疑，对这个普贤行愿品的功德这样的不要生疑的意思。
So here and also on that part it says may not despair of complete enlightenment. Here this is actually referring to that in order to attain complete enlightenment of Buddhahood, the king of noble prayer is the most profound way. So please, it says to make sure to have no doubt or have any question on the benefit or the quality of this prayer, to really have devotion to what this prayer is about. And here it says despair. I think maybe the word to have no question or having no doubt of this prayer is what it refers to.
所以我们在讲这个普贤行愿品的功德的时候，心里会觉得真的有这么大的功德吗？真的吗？有这样的怀疑就不行了所以在这里就是加了一句说，因为佛菩萨都知道会众生的心，他们会怎么想，他们都知道，所以说请你们不要生起怀疑心。相信说了，说明嘛是这个。
So sometimes we just see that we have seen this all these learn when we have learned all these benefits. Some maybe have questioned that does it really have such benefit? That some people may question because the Buddha knows the minds of the ordinary beings. He knows that the ordinary beings may question, is it truly going to have all these benefits? So here is this added this part to really make sure you have no doubt and have faith towards what's the benefit of this Kingdom Noble prayer.
接下来呢就是回向。回向的部分呢是首先是以文殊菩萨跟普贤菩萨。这里说文殊师利勇猛智，普贤慧行亦复然。随避一切常修学，我今回向诸善根。这里回向的善根是什么呢？回向善根就是以上所念诵的这个普贤行愿品这个部分的功德呢就是回向。回向的时候呢是以文殊菩萨所有菩萨里面的，就是为什么说文殊师利勇猛智？勇猛是什么意思呢？就是心力最强的、最勇敢的。为什么他最勇敢呢？文殊菩萨的发心是我们所说的3种发心里面最殊胜的发心，就是牧童的发心的方式。他最勇敢，他不怕他在轮回里面待多久。他说：“我一切众生不成佛之前，我不要成佛。”就是最勇敢的就是勇猛虽然所有的菩萨都是很勇敢的，但是其中文殊菩萨是所有菩萨里面最勇敢的。文殊师利勇猛，智慧，所有菩萨里面，文殊菩萨智慧也是第一所以呢，这里说文殊师利勇猛智这样。普贤慧行亦复然，就是普贤菩萨也是跟随文殊，也是像类似跟文殊菩萨那么很殊胜的。我们上面就已经讲过，那个普贤菩萨是一切诸佛的长子这样说的嘛。所以文殊菩萨跟普贤菩萨所有菩萨里面功德最大的就是智慧最大的2位菩萨勇猛智。所以呢，在这里做回向的时候，就是文殊菩萨怎么做回向，我也跟他一样的做回向；普贤菩萨怎么做回向功德，我也跟他们一样的做回向意思就是这样。
And now here's the dedication following the Bodhisattvas. So as glorious ministry knows, as does Samantabhadra, I dedicate all my own merits so that I may train myself by following them. So here the dedication of merit. This is the part that which we're following as however Bodhisattva Manjushri and Bodhisattva Samantabhadra dedicate merits, we will do the same. So here the merits pertaining to the merit that we have just been reciting, the merit accumulated from reciting this prayer, excuse me. So the dedication is just like first it says just as glorious Manjushri knows. So here it says why we choose Manjushri, because Bodhisattva Manjushri is the one who is the bravest. Why is he the most bravest? Because his aspiration is the highest of the 3 aspirations in terms of aspiring to enlightenment of Buddhahood. His aspiration is just like a shepherd, that he vowed that until all sentient beings attain Buddhahood, and I will not attain Buddhahood until all sentient beings attain Buddhahood. So therefore, although all the Bodhisattvas are brave, but Bodhisattva Manjushri is the bravest. In terms of the wisdom, in terms of the wisdom of the Manjushri, the Manjushri is the most wise, has the highest wisdom among all the Bodhisattvas. And also, so we dedicate, as does Samantabhadra, we dedicate merits like the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra, is because Samantabhadra, as we learned earlier before this prayer, he has regarded as the eldest son of all the Buddhas. He really has the utmost quality in terms of all the Bodhisattvas. So thereby, as we in this part of the prayer, we say that as how Manjushri Bodhisattva dedicate, we dedicate the merits as well. How does the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra dedicate merit? I do the same too.
然后呢，接下来就是诸佛怎么做回向，我也如同他们回向那样。3世诸佛所称赞， 如是最胜诸大愿，未得普贤殊胜行，我今回向无善根。就是30过去世、未来世、现今世的这30的佛他们觉得回向的方式最殊胜的哪一个，我也跟他们一样的去做回向，意思就是30诸佛所称赞的他们觉得最殊胜的回向的方式，回向善根的方式是什么？我也如同他们一样的做回向。所以这个4句回向是很特别的。我们通常一般的人，我们不知道怎么做回向所以就算我们做了一些回向，也许是有些有漏的回向，也许是不怎么圆满的回向所以呢，我们任何时候做回向的时候，最好能够念1遍普贤行愿品是最圆满的一个回向再不行的话，就是念这个8句普贤这个文殊师利勇猛智，然后就下面说这个30诸佛所称赞这4句这个8句就念诵这个8句做回向，然后心里想这就菩萨们怎么回向，我也怎么回向；佛们这个30的佛怎么回向，我也这样回向。一心的这样想，然后做回向的话，那我们的功德一定就是变成一个最好的回向。
So here the next one is dedication following the Buddhas. As dedication is highly praised by the Buddhas the 3 times, I dedicate all these roots of virtue for perfecting the deeds of the excellent. Here it says the Buddha 3 times is pertaining to the Buddhas the past, present, as well as the future. So however these Buddhas think that is the most profound way or the best way to dedicate merit, I will do the same. So here these 4 lines are actually very special because sometimes some people don't really know how to do dedication merit after they have accumulated some positive actions. And sometimes it's imperfect and sometimes it's just not how it should be done. So the best way is that the best way to do dedication merit is by reciting this Kingdom Noble prayer. If you not, then you can just recite these 8 lines and that will be. And to think while you're reciting these 8 lines, to think how the Bodhisattvas dedicate merits, I will do the same. How the Buddhas that they dedicate their merits, I will do the same as well. And then by doing so, you will able to have the best dedication of merits.
Yeah, 所以普贤行愿品虽然是普贤菩萨就是给这个善财童子的一个愿望，但是呢，其实这个真正是以前的就是诸佛们所有诸佛们总结的一个愿望但是这个只是从普贤菩萨口中讲出来而已，其实是一切诸佛的意愿。
So although the Kingdom Noble prayer was a prayer that passed down from the Bodhisattva Samanabhadra to the the son of the virtuous wealth, but in reality, it's actually the aspiration of the Buddhas of the 3 times.
然后接下来呢，就是讲这个摩罗梦的解完就是怎么样现前所有的这个愿力，或是现前所发的一切愿力的。愿我离欲命中时，尽出一切诸障碍，面见必佛阿弥陀，即得往生安乐上。这是怎么样现前呢？就是希望我在这个命中时，意思就是说今生我要离开这个世界的时候，在命中时就是愿我能够离弃遣除一切所有的一切障碍，然后呢亲自阿弥陀佛在临终时来迎接我，然后呢往生西方极乐世界所以我们所说的有一个极乐愿文这个普贤行愿品也是极乐愿文，它也是一个愿力， 所有很多的愿，但是极乐愿望也包括在这一下就是这样。它这里面愿力里面就是往生西方极乐世界嘛。所以这个时候呢，念诵普贤行愿品，常常念诵普贤行愿品的时候吧，在临终的时候我们所说的是阿弥陀佛会亲自来迎接你。阿弥陀佛亲自来迎接的时候，他这个的时候并不是说是阿弥陀佛西方极乐世界的阿弥陀佛他会亲自来，但是呢，他一个化现，一个阿弥陀佛的化现亲自到临终来迎接，围绕着八大菩萨阿弥陀佛周围围绕八大菩萨，然后来亲自在这个临终会来迎接你。
So here in the next part is dedication for realization of the fruits, or on how to really truly accomplish or manifest for allow these aspirations to come true and come to fruition. So here it says that at the moment of my death, may all my karmic obscurations be removed, that I may see the Buddha of boundless light face to face and go to his blissful pure land. And in his blissful pure land, may I completely realize and fulfill all the aspirations of the deeds of excellence and benefit all beings as long as the universe remains. So here it says that at the moment of the death, we aspire that all my karmic obscurations be purified and able to see the Amitabha. So we know that we commonly know there's a commonly known Dewa Chin prayer, or prayer to take rebirth in the Pure Land. So this noble prayer is also a type of Dewa Chin prayer that we take, the prayer that we recite to take rebirth in the Pure Land, as it says here. Here it says we aspire, pray to take rebirth in the blissful Pure Land to the body, the Pure Land of Amitabha. So if for someone who's engaged in the practice of noble prayer constantly, at the moment of death, Amitabha will come personally to receive you. But that doesn't mean that the Amitabha comes physically in front of you, but a manifestation of Amitabha, along with the 8 great Bodhisattva, they will manifest to come in front of you and receive you and take you to the Pure Land.
以前法门微宝在讲这个普贤行愿品的时候，曾经讲过，说怎么样哪一个阶段阿弥陀佛会出现呢？这个时候呢，就是比如说有些人一生当中常常杀生的人，比如说打猎的人，他们在临终的时候，他们就会看到很多的这个动物被宰杀的那些动物到他前面来逃，就是要他的命。这样就会显现这样的一个景象。那个时段的话，他还没有真正的气度还没有断就，这些景象就他会陆陆续续会看到。所以一个修阿弥陀佛，这个就是念诵普贤行愿品这样的一个人的话，就是在一样的时间是一样的，就还没有真正的断气之前，就隐隐约约他就会出现一些很多这样的这个景象。然后呢，当断气了之后，他根本不用经过中阴，他不需要经过中阴，也不需要去面见这个阎罗王，也不需要在阎罗王面前去称自己的那个功德有多少，恶业造了多少，这些都不用经过直接就用化身的这个阿弥陀佛和八大菩萨会把这个人呢就引接到西方极乐世界这样。这是法瑞宝以前在讲普贤行愿品的时候这样讲。
So before, when His Holiness Jimmy Rinpoche gave teaching on this prayer, the Kingdom Noble prayer, he said that he had mentioned at what stage the manifestation of Amitabha will appear for someone who is about to pass away. For example, for someone who often engaged in killing, such as hunting, etc., at that person's moment of death, that person will see the animals that he has harmed and killed to manifest appear in front of him and then try to seek for his life. At that time, he has not completely passed away yet. It was just at that moment that he was still lingering before dying. That's in that moment. So this is also the same moment for someone who have always engaged in practice of Amitabha practice, reciting Kingdom Noble prayer, that at that timing, the same timing, the visions appear or the manifestation of Amitabha and the Bodhisattvas will appear in terms of manifestation or visions that such that these people, these practitioners, they don't need to go to Bardo. They don't need to go see the Dharma in the state of Bardo and say what good or bad he has done. They can just go straight to take rebirth in the Pure Land.
就好像上次我在烟供的时候，我跟大家讲过这个公案，就是几个礼拜前，在我们的家乡嘉荣的一个妇女，她往生了。她往生的时候就是这样的，她还没有往生之前1个礼拜，就在她的梦境里面也好，她在她的景象里面就显现全部是清净的，然后她就梦到也是梦见法瑞宝。刚开始他是梦到访瑞宝，然后因为他生病了11年了，然后就生病得很厉害，然后他就梦到访瑞宝，他就跟访瑞宝讲，你赶快帮我接引到西方极乐世界去吧，这样，然后就访瑞宝说时间还没有到，你还等一下下去，然后就后来过了1个礼拜之后，他就做一个梦，就是梦境里面他就梦到访瑞宝在他的梦境里面出现，就跟他讲，现在时间到了，你现在就可以去那个西方极乐世界，我把你去西方极乐世界的门打开了，所以他就在梦境里面就是一直这样倾向，所以他走的时候也是就非常平静的这样就走了。但这个的故事还有很仔细的，今天因为时间关系我就不细节的讲，所以就是这样的事情在藏地发生很多很多这样的，所以这个妇女呢，她是一个在家居士，她是有家庭的，但是呢，她生病了，整整的病了11年，后来就是病的时间太长了，她的亲戚朋友家人都就是有点说，就把她那个病都看成一个常态一样了，都有些人就是看到她都不会问她说你病好没有，或是通常的会问，都好像都懒得问了，因为常常在生病，就是变成一个这样的状态。所以他打自内心对访瑞宝升起强烈的信心，就是修这个阿弥陀佛，就是访瑞宝念诵阿弥陀佛，就是这个对访瑞宝升起强烈的信心，一直祈祷访瑞宝这样，最后他走的时候，他就是病了11年他就走了，走的时候他就往生西方极乐世界，这是当时他在要走的临终的时候的所讲的话，他所做的一切事情，就完完全全可以证明这个人往生了西方极乐世界。这个时候根本不需要再问任何有神通广大的人怎么样，根本不需要。他已经很证明他做的这些事情，他讲的这些话，就跟在佛经里面讲一个人会往生西方极乐世界之前的这些这个表现或者这个象征征兆这些征兆是怎么样的，完全符合所以变成这样。
It's just like last time during the fire puja that I mentioned, a true account that several weeks ago, the woman in my hometown just had passed away in the same manner as we just mentioned in terms of the prayer. So a week before her passing, and whether it's in her dream or in her ordinary life, ordinary days, she everything has become pure. So she had a dream of His Holiness Madhyamaka Rinpoche, and because she was ill for 11 years, and at that time towards the end, she had a dream of His Holiness, and she requested him to take her into Dewa Chen, but His Holiness at that time said to her that the time has not come yet. And then a week before she passed away, she had another dream in which His Holiness appeared to her and said that now it's time, the time has come to take rebirth in Dewa Chen, that I have opened the door for you to take rebirth. So thereby, when this woman passed away, she passed away in a really serene, calm manner. This type of account has often appeared in the Tibetan regions, and this woman was a lay person for the family, but she was sick for 11 years, and she was so sick. She was always constantly sick, and her illness was very severe that her relatives and family have regarded her illness as something normal. So they would not no longer ask, oh, how have you overcome your illness or not? Because she is always sick. So thereby, she then has a really genuine, true devotion to His Holiness, as well as the practice of Amitabha. So thereby, she have constantly engaged in the practice of Amitabha, and constantly prayed to His Holiness. And then at last, she was able to pass away and take rebirth in the Dewa Chen. We can be sure of that because because based on all the words, the things that she had said before she passed away, as well as the things she had did before, this can be proof that she had already really genuine taken rebirth in the Dewa Chen. And these accounts are, you don't need to ask someone with clairvoyance to see whether she has taken rebirth in that Dewa Chen or not, because what all the things she said, all the things she did, can completely prove she has taken rebirth, because all these things are in complete accordance to the teaching of Sutra on what a person would do before they take rebirth in Dewa Chen.
他在过世之前，他还跟他的家人说：“请你们把我们村子里面的所有的人叫来，然后呢，就我们要做一个会供，做一个供养法我们的一法。”他说，然后让他家人把家里的所有的青稞、大米、水果，有的所有的东西搬来。他说我要供养法我们的一法，让我们村子人所有的来，也许以后会帮助，以后也许我会有机会可以利益到他们。所以当时候就把他们家乡所有村子里面的人所有叫来，叫到他们那里，有时坐在外面，有时坐在院子里，有时坐在房间里面这样。然后把所有的贡品搬来以后，他就说，因为他不识字，他不会念，他就叫他的这个那边一些喇嘛，他的一个弟弟是在佛学院的一位喇嘛，就是念这个七支供，就是普贤行愿品，就这样念七支供，请你们帮忙帮我供养，大家供养帮我为宝。最后他就说，这个我住的这个房子是属于我的吗？他的先生就说对，这是属于你。然后他就说，我这个房子我要供养帮我为宝，所以他剩下的所有的东西他都供养帮我为宝。然后他就牵着他妹妹的手，他就说，我是要去西方极乐世界了，你就会留在这个世界了，你要努力。最后是这样跟他讲的。之后然后他就走了。他走了之后呢，就所有当地村庄的人都大家觉得不可思议，这个人最后他的言行都很不可思议，大家也就纷纷说他可能是个空行奴，或是不得了的人。然后他的弟弟就说，我姐姐不是空行奴，什么都不是，这是因为他自己生病了，然后呢他对法王如意宝升起强烈的信心。他说我从佛学院每次回来看他的时候，我就让他念诵这个阿弥陀佛，对法王如意宝升起信心，他就这样做，然后达到的这个成就。他说我姐姐不是什么空行，只是他的信心而今天得到了今天的这个成就的。
Before this woman passed away, she asked all the members of the village to gather around her house, because she wants to do an offering, a talk practice, to offer to His Holiness. So thereby, she also asked her family to bring everything that can be offered, all the barley, the fruits, everything that can be offered, and then gather all the members of the village, because she says so that if they can all gather around my house, I can probably benefit them in the future. So thereby, everybody had came, some sat in the courtyard, etc. And then they brought all the offering from the village that they can. Because she doesn't know how to read, she asked one of her brother. Her brother was actually studying in the Lama Buddhist Academy, to recite the 7-branch offering, the same type of prayer offering that is included in the Kingdom Noble Prayer. And then she later asked if the house she lives in belongs to her. And then they replied to her, yes, it belongs to her. Then she said, I will also offer this to His Holiness as well. And then before she passed away, she held her sister's hand and told her sister that I will now go to Dewa Chen now, and yet you'll remain here, but please be diligent in your effort, in your practice. And then she passed away. For the villagers who experienced all this, they find this as something that's truly inconceivable for the words she said and the things that she did. So they began to regard her, to say that she's a manifestation of a dakim. However, her brother came out and said that his sister is not a dakini it's only because she was so sick and she had a really strong devotion to His Holiness that she always asked me to recite His Holiness prayer and also Amitabha prayer whenever I came to visit. She was able to have this accomplishment because of her strong devotion, and she's really truly regarding due to her strong devotion, so she's able to attain this great accomplishment.
这个也是一个我们所说的，也是佛经里面讲，我们要把痛苦转为道用。我想他就是真正的把痛苦转为了道用。如果他不生这个病的话，我想他可能没有办法就是真正的往生西方极乐世界，然后这样有强烈的信心。因为他生病，然后时间也很长了，甚至有时候旁边都没有人问候他、照顾他，就是一个人在那里受苦。所以呢，在这个过程当中，他真正的他悟到了唯一的依靠就是法轮一宝，唯一的依靠就是往生西方极乐世界，他没有别的路可以走。所以他有这样的一个决心，就是最后让他得到了这样的一个成就。所以这个就是我们所说的痛苦转为道用。所以我们在人生的过程当中，有时候我们遇到了很多的痛苦困难，不一定是个坏事，也许因此你得到一个成就。
This is also as we learn the sutra, they're able to transform suffering into the path itself. So I think she was someone who's really able truly to engage in this practice, to take this by heart, to be able to accomplish this. If she did not have this illness, she wouldn't have such devotion to His Holiness as well as to taking rebirth in Dewa Chen. Since she was so sick, to the point that the people have regarded as something normal. So nobody really, there's not always someone there to care for her or always trying to ask her how she is. And so thereby from her illness, she realized that her only source of hope or refuge is His Holiness Jimmy Ponce Rinpoche, and then her only hope source route to take is to take rebirth in the Dewa Chen. There's really no other ways to go. So because of her such strong determination, she was able to have this accomplishment. So this is again an example of taking suffering as a way of the path. So in our life, throughout our life, we may encounter many types of sufferings and obstacles. So, but if we are able, but then sometimes these obstacles allow us to become, to be able to progress in our path of practice.
所以，这里说往生西方极乐世界，面见必佛阿弥陀就是这样如果说我们祈祷法轮一宝，也许来接我们的不是阿弥陀佛，是法轮一宝，这样。有时候是法轮一宝、阿弥陀佛无别的神下来接我们，这样。然后有第二境界上的，第二境上的然后接下来就说，记得往生极乐上，然后呢？我既往生必佛国，一切圆满尽无余。我持普贤殊胜行，十方利益恒无尽。那这里就是这个愿望是什么呢？就是那往生西方极乐世界了以后怎么样呢？当往生西方极乐世界了以后，愿我在西方极乐世界圆满。上面所发的一切愿力，就是一切圆满尽无余，就是要圆满什么呢？圆满所上一切发的这些愿力，上面有很多不可思议的愿力，这些我们在人间，或者是我们还没有达到菩萨的果位是不可能可以圆满，能圆满的。所以到了西方极乐世界的时候呢，到西方极乐世界的第一刹那你就是达到了登地菩萨。所以达到了登地菩萨的果位的时候，那这上面的这些愿望，你就可以一一的可以实现了，一一的可以成就这些愿了。所以呢，这里说，当我往生了西方极乐世界以后，让我圆满一切圆满无余，尽无余就完全能够圆满这样。
So here it says that may I see the Buddha balanced light Amitabha face to face So sometimes we may see Buddha appear, but sometimes we may, if we pray wholeheartedly, we will see Amitabha. But however, sometimes if we were to pray to His Holiness, we may see that His Holiness will come and receive us and take us to the Dewa Chen, since His Holiness and Amitabha are inseparable. And here, as we continue this part of the prayer, in this blissful pure land, may I completely realize and fulfill all the aspirations of the deeds of the excellent and benefit all beings as long as the universe remains. So here, this is what talk about what happens after you retain rebirth in the Dewa Chen. So once you have taken rebirth in the Dewa Chen, or the Western Pure Land, we were able to fulfill all the aspirations we aspire to accomplish in this kingdom noble prayer. So as we learned that these aspirations are really something that we cannot fulfill as ordinary person in this life. So, however, once you have taken rebirth in the Pure Land, in that one instant, you have attained the boomings of the Bodhisattva. And then from that, you're able to accomplish all these aspirations you have made, and to be able to complete complete your aspiration in accordance to this prayer.
然后呢，就是我持普贤殊胜行十方利恒无尽当我到了西方极乐世界圆满了所求一切愿望之后，我就得到了一切所有的功德。那得到功德之后怎么样呢？我就利益十方一切有情恒无尽，就是永远直到这个轮回未空之前来去利益一切有情这样。
It says that may I completely realize and fulfill all the aspirations of the deeds of the excellent and benefit all beings as long as the universe remains. So here that once you have taken rebirth in the Dewa Chen, you're able to fulfill all the aspirations and accomplish all the qualities. And then from that point on, you'll always continue to benefit all sentient beings as the universe remains or until samsara ends.
然后接下来这个愿望是什么呢？就是愿我能够得到阿弥陀佛的受记，让我受记是什么？受什么记呢？受记就是说你在什么时候成佛，成什么样的佛，在哪一个佛的刹土成佛就这样的一个受记。这个依据我也中文没有找到。第二句就是装上嘎啦的，然后第二句的话就是这个第一句就是这里英文里面就讲的是 dedication for telling by the Buddha。我识余胜莲花生倾注如来无量光，蒙蔽如来受记仪，现前我受菩提记，就是这一上。这是什么呢？就是当我往生西方极乐世界，当然就是非常圆满庄严的西方极乐世界，在莲花的花心中就是以这个这些就是花心中这个诞生。然后在诞生的同时呢，希望我能够亲自见到这个阿弥陀佛如来光佛阿弥陀佛，然后呢，不但见到阿弥陀佛，而且能够得到佛的受记。受记的话，通常我们以前帮微博说菩萨里面也有是这个文部上等根基菩萨的根基也有差别。如果是上等根基的菩萨的话，他在一地菩萨的时候就会得到受记。得到受记是什么呢？就是得到受记，说你将来什么时候你会成什么样的佛，然后呢你在什么样的佛果成佛，这样会得到受记。如果是下等根基的菩萨的话，他在八地菩萨的时候才会得到佛的受记。所以这里的愿望就是，当我一旦升到西方极乐世界，就能够得到佛的受记。这个一往生的话，可能就是一地菩萨，就是第一个就是能够得到佛的受记，意思是这样。
The next one is dedication for foretelling by the Buddha. Happy in that blessed assembly of Buddhas, may I be reborn in the beautiful, perfect body of the lotus, and may the Buddha Amitabha himself foretell my own enlightenment. So here it says the dedication of foretelling by the Buddha. foretelling is the when the Buddha foretells you when you will become a Buddha in the future and what pure land you will take upon and what Buddha you are, etc. So here it says that once we're taken rebirth in the Dewa Chain, we aspire to take rebirth in this lotus, the beautiful, perfect body of lotus, is in the Pure Land, and may I see the Amitabha in person and receive foretelling from. So they're going to aspire to receive foretelling by the Amitabha. This is also just as His Holiness Jimmy just said before that in terms of the Bodhisattva, there's also different levels of faculties among Bodhisattvas. Those with the higher faculty of Bodhisattva were able to receive foretelling at the first blooming. It means foretelling that what in the future, what Buddha you will become, what is your name, your Buddha, where is your Pure Land, etc. The Bodhisattvas, the lower faculty, will receive foretelling at the 8th blooming. So here we aspire that right when we take rebirth in the Dewa Chain, because once you've taken rebirth in Dewa Chain, at that instant you will become Bodhisattva first blooming. You're able to receive the foretelling by the Amitabha.
那个时候是佛伸出右手放在你的头顶上，就说这个什么样的这个菩萨或者善男子，你在将来的什么时候会成什么样的佛就是给你这样的授记。
So the Buddha will be put out, so just like the Buddha will at that time will put out his right hand and place on your head and says, so and so Bodhisattva or kind man, etc. In the future, what kind of Buddha you are? What is your name, your Buddha, and etc. etc.
然后现前受我菩提记，化身无数白俱胝，智力广大，遍十方，普利一切诸含事。这个就是那当得到了受记之后，那怎么样呢？受记之后，就愿我能够画出无数的化身，然后呢，在无边的，就是十方各个地方呢，就是度化无数的有情众生这就是最后的这个达到了这个成就之后，然后怎么做呢？就是画像无数的身体，然后来度化众生这样。
So the next one, dedicating by serving others, having received the prophecy, may I thereafter perform great benefits for beings in all the 10 directions by the power of wisdom, through my myriad emanation, by whatever through my myriad emanation. So here it says that after I have received the foretelling of the Buddha, may I therefore, with all the quality and endowed, may I engage, manifest infinite amount of manifestation and benefit sentient beings of the 10 directions.
然后下面的接下来这个4句呢，就是当我们在念诵普贤行愿品的时候，念诵这个普贤行愿品的这个功德，以念诵这个功德来做回向，这样，这样听得懂吗？就是使他这个念诵的功德，回向念诵的功德，下面的再下一句是回向的功德，就是2个4句这样。
And then the next 4 line is that in addition to dedicating the merits of reciting this prayer, in addition to dedicate the merit of reciting this prayer, we also dedicate the merits of dedication of this prayer, the dedicated prayer. So I hope you understand.
以前房瑞宝讲这个的时候是说，这一下的这个4句是罗扎就是翻译是维罗扎呢，他写的一下这个是他做的一个回向的愿望，这4句，这一下的这个几句就是因为这个普贤行愿是维罗扎呢翻译成藏文的，他就是做了一个另外的回向，这是他做的一个回向，说念诵这个的回向，然后回向的功德这样。所以呢，若人此诵普贤愿，我说少分之善根，成就众生清净愿，一念一切悉皆圆就说这个是念诵这个的功德，就是念诵这个普贤行愿的功德呢，让我能够很快速的就是成就这些一切所谓的愿力。 一念一切悉皆缘。
So here it says, by whatever small virtue I've gathered, by reciting this aspiration of the deeds of the excellent, may all the virtuous wish of beings be accomplished instantly. So by the balanced merit gained by the dedication of the deeds of the excellent. So here it says, His Holiness just said when he gave the teaching before, he said that these 4 lines are the lines of Vairocana, because this was the King of Noble Prayer was translated into Tibetan by the great translator Vairocana. So thereby he also dedicated this, in addition to the merit of the Noble Prayer of recitation, he also dedicated this merit to the dedication of the merit itself.
然后下面这个是获胜功德过于彼，普愿诚若诸众生，速望无量光佛刹，大愿王主所行善。这个回向就是做回向功德，把这个回向的这个功德再做一个回向，就是这样的。
And then it continues on that by the balanced merit gained by the dedication of the deeds of the excellent, may the limitless being be free from drowning in the ocean of suffering. May they reach the high realm of Amitabha. May this king of aspiration bring benefits for all countless beings. So this is to a dedication, and on top of it, to dedication of this whole dedication of merit again.
然后下面一个就是摩罗门教中的道手都说是大愿王主所行善，利益无边有情众，圆满普贤诸愿轮，解空所有三恶处。这也是这个罗扎瓦别罗扎纳的一个愿望，就是希望以这个大愿王就是普贤行愿品是所有愿文里面之王，最殊胜的愿力，所以呢叫做愿王。这个念诵这个普贤行愿品的这个愿王的这个所积累的善根善德，愿意这些一切善德呢利益无边的有情众生，然后呢能够圆满普贤诸愿的这个善根能够利益一切众生，而且能够圆满普贤菩萨所发的一切愿力。最后呢，能够解空三恶处，就是把这个三恶道的一切众生都能够度化他们，解空三恶处的。
So here it says, to continue, may the king of aspiration bring benefit for all countless beings. May they perfect the virtues promised in the scripture uttered by Samantabhadra, and may all the lower realms be empty. So this is the aspiration of the translator Vairocana, that may this king of aspiration, so this is the highest the king among all the prayers. So by reciting through this king of noble prayer, which the merits accumulate through recitation, to dedicate to benefit all sentient beings, and such that all these sentient beings were able to obtain the perfect virtues as told by the Samantabhadra, or the perfect aspiration of the Samantabhadra, and able to benefit all the sentient beings of the lower realms.
然后这个呢是第二个金堪波真纳木扎，印度的大堪波叫做真纳木扎，然后呢就是藏地的印师别罗扎纳他们两个共同合作，然后呢将这个普贤行愿品呢翻译成藏文的。翻译完了之后，然后别罗扎呢再次的做校稿，然后呢再把这个藏文的普贤行愿品写下来。
印度的
真纳木扎，印度的堪波大堪波真纳木扎。
And then this is not translated in English, but at the end it says the great Kempo in India, Mantra, as well as the great translator Vairocana. They have collaborated in this translation of this King of Noble Prayer, and also Vairocana had also in addition to do some editing and composing to have this translation of the King of Noble Prayers.
然后中文的话可能是唐三藏翻译的啊，这里好像说是大方广博华严经不可思议解脱境界普贤行愿品唐三藏，唐三藏般若凤，这样，所以可能就是唐三藏，中文的话是唐三藏翻译的，藏文的话就是刘罗藏那翻译的，很多藏文的这些翻译译师他们翻译过来的时候都是一个印度的班智达，然后一个藏文的译师，两个这样对照的这样翻完了以后，再有很多的班智达，印度的班智达和藏文的译师再共同的校稿，就非常仔细的，不像现在我们的这些翻译，我们现在的很多英文的翻译真的是很缺乏这一点，有些翻的不是很真正的就是到位的，可以这样说有些是很字面上的翻译，但是以前的这些翻译是翻译过来的是真正的把内外密的意义都全部翻出来所以是不可思议的，尤其是以前的这些翻译师的话，都是佛菩萨的化身了，不是一般的人，所以都是不可思议的功德也很大的。
So the Chinese version is by this famous monk, Sanzang. He's the one that did the Chinese translation. And then in terms of the translation, before during that time, many of these Buddhist scriptures has been always translated by a Pandita in India, which in India, a Pandita in India will collaborate with the Tibetan translators, such as here the Velasana and then this great temple. And then once it has been translated, it will be further edited or reviewed among all the Panditas as well as all the translators over and over again. So that to ensure that the meaning is really translated to the core, to the essence. So this, which is really unlike, really different from nowadays. Some of these teaching has been translated in English. Sometimes it's just not to the core. But the translation during that time is really included the outer, inner, as well as the secret meanings. Because a lot of these translators and these Pandita, they're actually manifestations of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
今天的课就讲到这里，然后呢，普贤行愿品圆满的简单的就是一个意义呢，就是讲完了。细节的话，当然还有真正普贤行愿品的这个讲解的话，藏地的很多高僧大德都有，像巴珠仁波切啦、仁楞称真他们都有注解这个普贤行愿品的注解，但是我这边都没有办法找到他们的藏文的注解，就是只能就是词句上简单的表面上的意义跟大家就是简单的分享一下，我想这样也是至少可以让大家心里产生一些对这个普贤行愿品的了解和功德的认知所以我们可以就是更重视这个普贤行愿品，所以这个功德是真的非常大的我们平时在修习的时候大家就这个没有其他的任何的功课没有时间做其他任何的功课，都是一天就是把心静下来，诚心诚意的念一遍普贤行愿品，也是非常有意义的在其他什么都不能做都没有关系这样所以这是非常殊胜的。然后通常我们有时候会去朝圣拜佛等等的，这个时候也是大家就把这个普贤行愿品随身带着然后呢就是可以在朝圣的时候，因为殊胜的这个圣地的时候，到这样的地方，大家发愿也是很能够那个成功的。所以在这个圣地的时候，大家念诵普贤行愿品，然后呢到了很殊胜的这个有加持力的这个佛像佛塔这样的面前，大家念诵普贤行愿品，这样就已经足够了。很多时候我们去朝圣这样的时候，大家都是注重就是拍照，但是没有注重真正朝圣的意义那拍照是另外一个东西，但是真正朝圣的意义就是我们朝拜这些殊胜的圣地的时候，在这些圣地里面好好的发愿这样是非常重要的。
Well, this concludes the afternoon class session for today. And we also have finished the brief teaching on this King of Noble Prayer. To go over in detail on this prayer, there's actually many commentary composed by Patrick Rinpoche and Lyndon Tenzin. So, but I was not able to find their Tibetan commentary. So here I just briefly share with you on a brief understanding of this prayer. And I think by doing so, it allows you to really have an understanding and take importance on the merits and the benefits of this prayer. The quality, the benefit of this prayer is truly, truly immense. Whether when you're practicing your daily life, sometimes you're really so busy that you have no time to do any other types of practice. To just sit down with your mind calm and recite this prayer wholeheartedly is also already very meaningful for you. Also, when you go visit, take pilgrimage to sacred places, you can also take this prayer with you and recite this prayer as a practice. Because when you visit or take pilgrimage at these sacred places, these holy sites, your aspiration will be able to manifest, to come to fruition much more effective as well. So whether you go to visit pilgrimage in sacred places, or you go visit places with blessed Buddha statues, etc., this is something that you can do. Many times when people take pilgrimage, they also only focus on taking pictures, but they forgot the key point of to take pilgrimage. It is to make proper aspiration and engage in practice.
我们所谓的愿文呢，这是祈祷，有很多种，但是我们不需用，就是念一个这个，念一个那个，就是看一下这个好不好，看一下那个好不好，根本不用。这里已经说了，普贤行愿品是所有愿文里面的之王，我们还选什么？所以根本不需要考虑什么，就是专心在这个发愿文，就专心在这个上面就可以了。所以呢，我们就以后大家都记住不管到哪里，任何时候，我们比如说是有人生病的时候，你在其他都没有什么其他的法，就念普贤行愿品。如果是有看要往生，有人这个过世的时候，为他念普贤行愿品。你看到动物死了以后，你想为他做一些什么事情，你念普贤行愿品就可以了。
In terms of prayers, there are actually many prayers available, but we don't really need to seek elsewhere. We don't need to find this, try to look for this prayer and that prayer to think whether this is better or that's better for you. Here it already says that this prayer, the King of Noble Prayers, in terms of is already truly the king of all the prayers. So we can just really focus on engaging, practicing on this prayer and on the aspiration of this prayer. So thereby, I hope all of you will remember that whether any time you're somewhere with if someone's sick, you wish to pray for them, then you can recite the King of Noble Prayer. If someone has passed away, then you can recite this King of Noble Prayer for that person too. If you see some deceased animal, you can also, if you want to do something, you can also recite this prayer too.
所以我们要知道，愿力是很重要的，愿力是非常重要的，愿力是重要到超过功德的。如果你就算是积累了功德，你没有愿力做回向的话，你这个功德也许不会那么大，也不会说是真正的会像这个就是说成熟它这个果。让我们所有的功德成熟它的果，就是后面推动这个就是愿力所以我们愿力跟回向基本上是一样的，但是呢，它有一点点的差别。愿力跟回向的差别是什么呢？我们所说的回向就是说，你上面做了一个功德，然后之后再念诵这个愿力，这叫做回向。而愿力的话，就是就算你上面没有任何的功德，你都念诵这个就是单纯的一个愿力。所以他们两个的差别只有这一点点，所以其实都是一样的。愿力跟发愿跟回向都是这样，所以我们在任何时候，我们的未来的生生世世我们会变成什么，完全靠我们今生的愿力这个是很重要的，完全依赖于我们今生的愿力是什么，然后未来我们才会变成什么。为什么在这个世界上有很多的这个就是佛菩萨也好，或者高僧大德也好，他们的度化众生的或者他们的弘法事业都不一样，全部依赖于他们在刚开始的时候他们的愿力是怎么样。 所以这是非常重要的所以我们在任何时候发愿，一次再一次的发愿做回向是很重要的。
So we really need to understand aspiration. Making aspiration is something that's very, very important. It's actually more important than to accumulate the merits itself. Because even if you were to accumulate these merits, but without proper aspirations, the merits may not be that immense, or nor it would mature to the fruit or the result that you wish to seek, or the maturation of the result. So thereby, in terms of the aspiration and dedication merits essentially the same, but it's just a slight difference. Dedication is that you engage in some action, and you dedicate the merits for that certain goal. And an aspiration is the aspiring itself, the goal that you wish to aspire itself. So thereby, whatever you will become in the future is truly relying on your aspiration now. So that's why you can see in this world, there's so many Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, as well as the great masters. They really have these different ways or different enlightenment activities to benefit these sentient beings. And the reason they are all so different is really dependent on the aspiration they have aspired in the beginning of their path. So thereby, to aspire, make proper aspiration over and over again is something that's really, really important.
所以我们念诵普贤行愿品从头到尾念完的话，其实它里面功德跟愿文回向都有的。为什么有功德呢？普贤行愿品的刚开始呢就有7支供，念诵这个7支供的过程当中，你已经做了供养了7支供的这个供养积累资粮的所有积累资粮的东西，都包括在这个7支供里面了。没有比7支供还更殊胜的积累资粮的方式。所以普贤行愿品的开始就已经有了这个7支供，有了这个资粮之后，你就是发愿做回向，全部圆满所以是很殊胜的。
So when we recite the complete Kingdom Noble Prayer, if we were to recite this completely, already the merit, the accumulated merit and dedication or the aspirations are already included in the prayer itself. Because in the beginning of the Kingdom Noble Prayer, we have the 7 branch offering, and by doing so, the 7 branch offerings have included all there is to in terms of the methods of accumulating merits. And so once you have accumulated merits through the 7 branch offering, you make do the dedication of merit, which is the aspiration included in the Kingdom Noble Prayer.
今天就讲到这里，这下就圆满了。如果大家有什么问题要问我，还有一点点时间。